All right, folks, we are here in Statesboro, Georgia, back in the state as we focus on the huge election taking place here, the midterm elections, of course, gubernatorial race, Stacey Abrams, in a repeat race against incumbent Governor Brian Kemp, and also Senator Raphael Warnock, who's running for a full 6-week term against Herschel Walker. Massive voter turnout has been taking place, but you still have Republicans doing their best to suppress the vote. A Texas man, folks, who last year made headlines a couple of years ago when he voted in the 2020 election, actually had his case tossed last week. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who happens to also be under federal investigation, he filed 2 counts of illegal voting against 60-year-old Hervis Rogers for voting while on parole in 2020. Well, in Texas, people who knowingly vote while on parole or probation, that is a second-degree felony, where a Texas district court judge dismissed the charges because the Attorney General can't prosecute elections crimes unilaterally. Rogers said he was unaware of his ineligibility to vote, thus waited 6 hours to cast a ballot. He is not alone, because 72% of all voter fraud charges brought by Paxton have been against people of color. Mitchell Brown is the Counsel on Voting Rights for the Southern Coalition for Social Justice, based out of North Carolina, and he joins us now from Washington, D.C. I'm glad to have you on the show, Mitchell. I mean, this is the thing that we're looking at here, whether it was this case, whether it is the efforts by Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida to target the formerly incarcerated. This is absolutely meant to send a chilling effect and to keep folks formerly incarcerated, especially black people, from using their right to vote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, these are political ploys to chill black voters and brown voters. And it's not about what you can prove in court, but it's about how you can chill voters and stop them from exercising their right to vote. That's what these cases are about. And as you noted, courts in Texas and in Florida have stopped, Governor DeSantis and Ken Paxton from doing that, from making this a political ploy. And so I'm glad to see it.
But what it does, though, it forces these individuals to have to spend time, money, and resources fighting a legal battle. It causes organizations like yours and others to have to spend resources, and that's what this is all about. This is, we can look at numerous states in terms of how they are trying to stop folks from voting, and if they can get someone to say, man, you know what, I don't even want to chance that thing, so I'm just not even going to go and vote, that's how they win.
Exactly. And we had a case in 2018 where we represented 5 voters in North Carolina in Alamance County. And we were able to, get them to plead down to misdemeanor obstruction of justice, so not the felony charge in North Carolina. But the most important thing that came out of that was disheartening was one of our clients said that no longer is he going to vote, but he's going to tell his children not to vote. And so you have this generational, disenfranchisement, this generational vote suppression that comes just from somebody trying to exercise their right to vote. They are criminalizing the ballot box, whether it be in North Carolina, Texas, Florida, or even Georgia. Especially in Georgia, where you are right now with SB 202, they're trying to criminalize handing out water. Why are you trying to diminish the right to vote? You should be wanting to, make it larger and make sure more people are able to vote. But again, this is a political ploy to gain political points, and we have to fight back.
Well, and again, and we're seeing, again, the strategy here in terms of how they're targeting folks, because as we're seeing more people who are formerly incarcerated get their right to vote, many of these same Republicans oppose, criminal justice reform. And so what they fear these are going to be potentially Democratic voters.
Absolutely. They fear that, and it just piles on top of each other. You have this criminalization of the ballot box, as we call it, but then you tie in redistricting efforts, you tie in voter ID laws, and you see one thing after the other that just places barriers in front of people trying to exercise their right to vote. So they are scared. And that's been their playbook for so many years, especially after Shelby County, which struck down the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which protected Black voters in particular. They've become more emboldened now to pass laws to diminish the right to vote because they're scared that they're going to lose their place in the political hierarchy. And that's just not the way it should be. Again, we should be wanting to make sure more people are voting and to encourage voting. That's what we do. That's what half of us do. And so we have to, continue to spread the message, and we can't give up hope. Those who want to encourage voting, we can't give up hope.
One of the things that, again, when you look at how these folks think, is a perfect example. I saw this tweet today from Texas Senator John Cornyn. And give me a second, I'm going to pull this tweet up. And he was doing his part to try to downplay voter suppression. And so this is what he tweeted: more in voter suppression news. Turnout tracker. Saturday's early vote total in Georgia was up 159% from the 2018 midterms and even surpassed 2020 by 20%, the Secretary of State's office said. And so, quoting Politico. So this is what they try to do. And we saw Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice John Roberts do the exact same thing in his ruling in Shelby v. Holder. In their minds, there can't be voter suppression because we're seeing record turnout. But voter suppression is not directly correlated to a decrease in voting. Voter suppression is about making it even more difficult for people to vote, forcing people to have to use provisional ballots. Now what you're now seeing is these laws where anybody can literally challenge someone. I saw one account where this woman went to go vote and someone who wasn't even present challenged her right to vote. And so she said, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so by having these laws where any citizen can just file any challenge, they are trying to keep thousands of Black people from voting.
Yeah. It's said that if you can't win the game, then you have to rig the game. And that's what, sadly, the Republicans and many Republican legislatures are doing by allowing these voter challenges to go forward. Luckily, in some states, similar to North Carolina, we have a strong state board of elections that's able to filter out, genuine challenges versus those who are more nefarious. But again, when you're trying to rig the election, when you're trying to rig the scales of justice in favor of your party by preventing people from voting, you have to call it out. And as you noted, Justice Roberts said in Shelby County that basic discrimination doesn't exist in the same way. I would always tell him to go talk to my clients. Go talk to my clients who were prevented, almost prevented from voting in North Carolina, given the voter ID law, a law that the Fourth Circuit, United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit said targeted Black voters with surgical precision. My clients were almost disenfranchised, but it had not been for the Southern Coalition for Social Justice and other organizations stepping up to the plate to stand in the gap for them and to prevent this atrocity from happening, they may have been disenfranchised. And so, yes, discrimination may not be as in your face as it was in the past with our foremothers and forefathers, but it's definitely still here. This country was built on it. It's built on discrimination and racism. This country has a habit of stepping into discriminatory tactics, and we have to, again, continue to call them out on it and continue to push back against laws that will prevent people from voting.
Absolutely. Mitchell Brown, we certainly appreciate. Thank you so very much for joining us on today's show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
This is our time, our moment to move forward, beyond the gun violence, the hospital closures, the unaffordable housing. Brian Kemp's Georgia for the wealthiest few. Stacey Abrams is looking out for every Georgian. She'll invest our $6 billion surplus in the fundamentals, education, healthcare, housing, and a good living, putting more money in your pocket to build one Georgia where everyone has the freedom to thrive.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?